Hey guys, hey YouTube. I try to make a healing uh, thing on clerics, but ended up being like 2 hours long. Let me see if I can shorten it a little bit. Reverend, East Coast, USA, baby. 18 cleric called Pancake. Um, Reverend Reverend Bane is the name of the guild that I'm in. Um, this is my setup right now. Let me show you what my raid setup is. Let me see here. Alright, so I'll drop that one and I'll pick up this Arc of Light. This is just when I'm raid healing like 6-man parties. What I love about the cleric is they have a lot of mitigation. So if they don't take any damage, you don't really have to heal that much, right? Let me try to get to an NPC just so I can practice healing them. But mainly when I'm going into a dungeon, the only person I'm really healing by and large is the tank. Now there are times where another person, either myself, maybe the enchanter, maybe the monk, whoever's pulling, or whoever's CCing might pull aggro. But alright, let's just pretend this is our tank. Normally what pre-18, basically all I did was I swapped these two around and I would just shield the tank, and whenever they took damage I would use that. But what I realized at 18, this spell right here has a 3-second cast time and it costs 20 mana and it heals 120, 172 to 181. What I don't understand is this shield here, is that an Agassiz? I don't know. I'm not expert in Pantheon, but I have played a healer in a lot of MMORPGs. I played a Holy Paladin in WoW 10 years. Did a lot of raiding. Did some raiding and PvP and Elder Scrolls. Did some in Star Wars, Old Republic. I didn't really get into Lord of the Rings that much, even though I love the movies. But this spell right here, I love it. It costs a lot of mana, though, 25 mana, and it only heals you for like 150. It bounces 3 times. What I didn't realize is this little spell right here, even though it only costs 10 mana, and it does a little rinky-dink heal. Uh, 5 health every 3 seconds for 1 minute. So there's 60 seconds in a minute. So that would be here's our guild right here, Reverend's Bane right here. That's our guild. Um, I'm trying to do math. 20 seconds times 5. So that's 100 health. So that's almost as much as this heal. And this only costs 10 mana. This does have a 2-second cast time though. Here's another guilty, Reverence Bane. Alright, sorry. So, anyway, this heal right here it takes 3 seconds. But it heals for 100 more than this one does, basically. So for an extra 5 mana and an extra 1.5 seconds, you can heal for 100 more. So I think that's a good deal. So I need to be using this one more. And like I said, I basically have never used it. The only thing I've used is this one. But the only thing, like, alright, so I basically did mana from level 13 to 16, and then at 16 I went into HC. You can go into HC and AVP around level 13 as well, somewhere around there. But I had a bad experience where I lost a level just camping, and I logged back in and I lost a level. So really I should be a level higher, but they wouldn't give me my level back, so I at least reported the bug. This is early access, but so alright, so this is the tank. I'm basically just shielding him and then using this spell. But in HC, for example, you can get mobs that stun you, they silence you. So me as the healer not healing anybody for up to 6 seconds, that's a long time where the tank is not getting healed. They're taking damage, but they're not getting healed. And a 3-second heal, as any healer knows, is a very, very, very long time in healing terms. The best heal in WoW for paladins probably was something like, it was either a second or a second and a half heal. The big heals really cost a ton more mana, so it was usually more efficient to use the little heals. But alright, so let's say the tank is pulling 2 mobs. What I would do is, alright, normally I'd shield them, I would put this on myself probably first, then shield them, and then when they start taking damage, use this bond of protection on them. Now, sometimes if I know the tank is going to pick up the mob fairly quickly, I'll try to time it. So let's say the mob is coming from this direction, I'll tab target them, and I'll use this divine weakening. And basically what that does is reducing the damage that the boss does, not the boss, but the mob does for 8% less damage. And then this spell decreases the damage on the tank 20%. So it basically gives me that 20% damage. So if the tank is taking, let's say, 1,000 damage, I'm taking 200 of that damage. And this may not heal all the way. It may not heal me all the way because this is only healing for 100 over the time, but it'll at least keep me alive. Now, let's say the only time I've had someone die is when I shouldn't say that, but rarely have I had anyone die. When they do die is usually when we pull extra packs or whatever, and either I get aggro onto me and multiple mobs are hitting me. Maybe the CC breaks. Maybe the enchanter, enchants something, and then that enchant breaks, and it's going to go immediately for that enchanter. Or let's say the monk pulls and he tries to feign death, and for whatever reason that doesn't work, and he's taking damage from multiple enemies, and he doesn't want to pull all those mobs into the group, and he basically dies. But sometimes you have multiple party members taking a little bit of damage. So that's where this Arc of Light comes in, where it can kind of chain between three people, which is kind of cool. And it has a pretty good distance, 20 meters, I think. But as you can see, it scales off wisdom and con. Wisdom and con, wisdom and con. So there's a lot of stuff happening the first second or two when a tank pulls, at least for me anyway. So I'm usually putting this on myself. I'm maybe tagging the mob with this as soon as the mob comes in. And then and usually the tank will probably stun the mob. If it's just one mob, it might stun it. So the tank may not be taking any damage the first couple seconds. Now if he's pulling 2 mobs or 3 mobs, he probably will be. But in that case, I like to, give him the shield, give him the bond of protection for 8 seconds. I try to use the force ability so that someone else can synergize with me. And then I'll run up and I'll get in melee range, and I'll hit this little button right here, which is for melee. And a lot of people say, well, why is the healer getting a melee range? Well, there's a few reasons. Number one, I got this buff called Divine Favor that gives my auto attacks 1 to 15 health. So every time I auto. Also, I got this ability, takes 2 seconds to cast, no cost. but it gives me mana back in the last 15 minutes. So another 15-minute buff. All right, here's another guildie right here. I tell you, we got a lot of guildies. But so I'm in melee. I've cast this buff, so I got 15 minutes of that buff. I've already got this buff going before the combat. I've already got these two buffs before the combat, and for whatever reason you can't see the Ritter refreshing on the screen. It's over here in the corner. It's just these two buffs. This one gives armor and armor class, and the other one gives readiness. But basically when I get in melee range, I'm hitting the mob. I'm moving my mouse around a little bit because sometimes you can't see the nameplates a little. It's kind of hard sometimes to see the nameplates, so sometimes you got to move your mouse around a little bit. And then I'll hit this, and this has no cost. And what this does is it gives my next heal for free. Now, I don't know what Celestial Spark, Flicker, Glow, Dawn, Light, and Brilliance are. I haven't seen those yet. Maybe those are higher level spells. But this Healing Glow is one of them, and that's this one. So that's why I got this one fourth. So, you know, I'm basically holding, when I usually go into a raid, I'm usually when I'm usually healing, I usually hold my fingers on 1, 2, and 3. And then so 4 would just be moving the mouse, my fingers over just slightly. And then for these other abilities, I'm usually just using the mouse and just targeting. I know that's probably not the most efficient. When you need mana, you pop that and you sit down, hit X to sit down. Also, when I'm healing the tank, I will usually, if they're about to take a lot of damage, I will hit Fortifying Presence, which increases their armor class. I don't know, my armor class is around 130. When I popped it, it went to like 166. So it gave me a good amount of armor. Now, if I'm soloing and just fighting a mob by myself, if I need to hit this for mana, here's a friend of mine. He's a cleric as well. He's higher level than me. I should probably have him on this interview. So I use this It lasts 2 minutes on the mob, reduces their damage coming out 8%. This reduces damage on the tank 20%. So just these two alone almost decreases the damage coming into the tank almost by a third. And then you got a shield here, which absorbs 110 damage plus 15% of your maximum health. So my health is probably around 200 right now, which ain't much. But that'll be an extra 20, so probably 130 damage. So you're reducing the damage by 30%, basically 33%, 28%, close to 30, and then absorbing 130 damage. So at the start, once you get these things off, you got a little bit of wiggle room. But once I come into melee, I pop this, I hit, start auto attacking, I can pop this, then hit 4. This is no longer 15 mana, it's a free heal. So by the time you've hit 4 or 5 different abilities, the shield might wear off, and the shield only lasts for 20 seconds. And it says one shield of the target cannot be shielded again for 10 seconds. So you have to wait sometimes. Like, all right, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm healing the tank. The tank is the only one taking damage. We're in a dungeon, and my shield is at maybe 20%. Or you see. What I will usually do is start pre-casting this ability, and usually by the time I start pre-casting it, by the time the shield wears off, this heal would have hit. But now that I'm going to be using this one, I can wait another few seconds. But the only danger in that is, like I said, there's a lot of mobs in HC, for example, that will stun the healer with blind or silence. And so I basically can't use any abilities for anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds usually. So if you're stunned for 6 seconds or silenced for 6 seconds, and then you gotta wait another 3 seconds to cast the spell, that's a long time. You're supposed to be healing the party. Granted, I don't have a shaman or a druid with me, and if I'm just solo healing by myself, 9 seconds is an eternity. So again, what I would normally have to do is you normally do the shield first, because the shield is only 1 second. And then do my heal. But I usually try to keep my tanks topped off if possible. But like I said, now that I'm using this ability now instead of the other one, because it's more mana efficient in my mind, you're just paying only 5 more mana for basically 100% more healing. Actually, it's more than 100% extra healing, because this one heals for, let's see, all right, around 80, and then this one heals for basically like 180. So it's more than 100%. 100% would be 160. So I think that's a good bargain. And then you don't want to be spamming this one because this one costs 25 mana. But every once in a while, let's say the rogue or the monk or um, maybe yourself takes a little damage, you'll pop this and it'll just top everybody back off. Um, Now, usually for boss fights or anytime I usually save this ability for an oh crap moment, like, oh my gosh, we pulled an extra pack, because this increases your allies' attack and spell power by 15 for 20 seconds. And this one increases my spell power by 10 and haste by 15% for 10 seconds. Now this one also has no cost, so if you want, really, you could save both of these. Normally, because this one has only a minute and 30-second cooldown, I pretty much pop this once a fight, sometimes twice a fight. I don't know how long it takes to normally kill a mob, but it's probably less than a minute or maybe a minute. And then whenever like I said, whenever I need mana, I'll pop this and sit down. But sometimes we're pulling mobs faster than a minute or faster than a minute 30, and after the fight, I gotta sit and wait, 30 seconds to recover some mana. But I was looking at another cleric. We don't have a high level cleric in the guild that's higher than me that I know of. Even though we have a lot of level 24s or so. So I don't know what high level clerics have on their bar. I don't know what the best setup really is. Now there's one AoE ability right here. This is an AoE heal that heals everyone in your group for 50. But the only reason I don't have that on my bar is it is 3 seconds. And to me, normally when everyone in the group is taking damage, you need something quick, because I still got to keep the tank alive.